Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Live with Ty. Better for you. We all know him pretty well. And you guys are so excited. I was thinking,
Live with Ty starts now.
Welcome back to Live with Ty. Again, this is the first time it's ever been in a digital perspective. Today, joining me on the show, Vice President of Story at WHOP, John Hill. Should be here any moment. Again, the show's been awesome. If you are here tagging along for the ride, the show's been awesome for a long, long time. Now it even gets to go to the next level because, again, we're no longer in studio at all. What that means, the outreach, the type of guests that we're going to have on the show, completely different, completely new, completely innovative in the sense that, hey, it's online now. The conversations are just going to be as rich, as impactful. But of course, you don't know who you're going to see on the show anymore, in the sense that we are leaving the little bubble of BU with our first guest of this new transition being John Hill. Should be with me any moment. I'm super excited. It's a digital transition. I can't wait. I think it's actually going to be freaking phenomenal. So much to discuss today about the innovation of AI, of how WHOP is looking to be at the cornerstone of the new technology boom. Maybe potentially a new competitor with LinkedIn. For those of you watching still looking for a job, hey, maybe look at WHOP now. Again, we're going to see how this conversation goes. Some powerful, impactful stuff that we're going to be going through, man. I am so hyped. And once John joins up, we're going to take it to the next level, man. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Can't wait. I mean, there you guys are. Talk to me, man. What's your favorite part about this new setup? Is it better lighting? I'm a lot closer. Is it this new mic? Is it the lights in the back? Is it the Mandela picture in the back? The Obama pillow to the side? The candles? The little Jesus piece? Shout out to Man Above. Wouldn't be here without you. Let me know. Again, dude, this is a new transition for everybody involved. I'm super excited for everybody that's involved. I think it's going to be so sick. And I'm beyond hyped. I'm genuinely, guys, I'm so hyped. I'm so hyped. Again, this is my pride and joy. It's my baby. And we get to get it started today, man. I mean, for me personally, it doesn't get that much better. If I'm being completely honest, it doesn't get that much better for me. You guys are here at the start of the journey, start of the digital revolution of Live with Ty, the evolution of Live with Ty. Man, again, the stories that we're going to tell, the people that we're going to connect with. Oh, I can't wait, man. I cannot wait. We're going to take it to the top. We're going to take it to the top. We're going to keep going. Like it just don't stop. Like it just don't stop. I think for me personally, the most exciting part about being a digital creator is the sense that, man, once you really tap in with that, like what we're trying to build here, man, the possibilities are just really endless. I mean, you could just go and go and go and go and go, man. It's kind of crazy. I won't lie. It's so amazing, man. You can really connect with people. There's different stories you can tell. There's different topics that you can get into, man. It seems like a one solution fits all. I mean, it's going to be great. It's honestly going to be great. It's going to be freaking phenomenal. Like I can't, guys, if I could stress that more, I really, really would, but I can't. All I do is love talking and I love connecting with people. I know that's what humans need in life. Humans need connectivity. Again, you're having a terrible day at work, at school. Having somebody just come and say hello to you, life-changing. Literally you could save someone's life with that. And why not try and create something out of it? You know what I mean? It's just connecting with people, talking about issues that are important, and being a person where you're just going to be a voice for people. Don't know who I'm being a voice for. Could be for the grandmas, for the grandpas, could be for people that are deaf. I don't know. Like, they got transcription for a reason. But you don't know. You never know. Could be for kids that are aspiring athletes or kids that want nothing to do with sports. Might end up in like a Minecraft demographic. But honestly, it doesn't matter. And the reason because you're connecting with people. As long as at the end of the day you're making people feel seen, heard, valued, cared about, appreciated, man, you've won. You've won, man. And again, when John hops on, it's going to be a great episode. I'm telling you, it's going to be so phenomenal. I'm so hyped for it. I just can't wait, man. I can't wait. I cannot wait. It's going to be so crazy. Stay tuned when John hops on. Vice President of WHOP. Again, they are one of the cornerstones of, it's just crazy. One of the cornerstones of just about everything in terms of being a digital creator in the creator economy, in a digital marketplace where if you're selling courses, if you're selling a coaching program, an online program, a subscription, man, they created a platform where you can grow your content and you can tap in with just about anybody. I mean, that's so special. The fact that I get to talk to somebody like that on my show, bro, come on. I mean, come on, guys. Like, that's kind of brilliant. I love it. So, we're going to wait for John to join up, and then we're going to keep it rolling, man. Stay tuned. Hey, John, thanks for hopping on, man. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Thanks so much for joining us. Again, this is the show. This is Live with Ty. It's crazy, saw you last week, and now having you here on this platform is honestly awesome. Super happy to have you on. Hope not taking too much of your time, but again, I guess this is what you call show business, so show must go on. You know that saying.
Yeah, it's part of the game.
It's part
So
of the game. So definitely want to hop right into it. So you're at the top, let's say, at one of the companies that is set to maybe revolutionize a lot of things, right? Something that really resonated, I guess, with me when we spoke off camera is you said that you guys are, let's say, at the cornerstone because AI is making, let's say, the digital market space, changing it forever. Can you speak a little bit more on that? What does that mean for the
uh,
next generation?
let me start a little bit backwards, Ty, and give some like credentials so like
Of
people have an
course.
understanding of who I am and what I'm about. So I was the director of alumni career services at Michigan State University when the
Okay.
last recession hit. I was prior to that the internship developer for Michigan State University, so setting up internship and experiential opportunities for students there. Out of the work that I did as director of alumni career services at MSU, I got recruited to LinkedIn.
Okay.
I was infused in a product team there. We built 5 products to reach at that time about 85 million people. So anything that's related to universities, the university pages within LinkedIn, the
Gotcha.
alumni tool. If you have a university on your profile, we were the team that made that happen. And so while I'm at LinkedIn, I went from a career services role at a university to working with arguably the professional identity of record at that time, which was replacing the resume and CV
Hmm.
at LinkedIn, the LinkedIn profile. And then I went to Techstars after LinkedIn. I was there for a decade. We were the largest investor in early seed stage tech companies in the world.
Wow.
Invested in about 4,000 companies globally, operated entrepreneurship program in 170 countries. I was actually the facilitator for a program supporting entrepreneurship centers at Cornell, USC, UCLA, NYU, UT Austin, things like that. And when you aggregate all those experiences, it gives you a view of how people get jobs, how jobs are manufactured. So companies being built to
Hmm.
hire people, and the trends that are happening in regard to technology. And
Yeah.
so, the question you asked me is actually a large question.
Yeah.
How is AI impacting?
Thanks for the
Um,
context.
yeah, how is AI impacting things? I now work at a company called WHOP, where we allow anybody to build a digital business using no code, which I think is a misnomer in itself. No code means you have accessibility to technology without having to understand technology.
Yeah.
I actually hate that terminology because, like, when we went
Why?
from a horse to a car, you
Hmm.
didn't call the car a no horse, right? So, like, code in its essence is a tech term that is
Yeah.
used to describe how technology should be easy to utilize, right? Just by the naming convention, it's a struggle. But no code was a step before where we are with AI,
Okay.
which allows anybody to ideate along with this large knowledge set, this database that can think with and through and for you. And that is revolutionizing a ton of things, including the economic graph, how we get jobs and what that
Yeah.
looks like. And so if you're asking like how AI is impacting, the job search, we can go in depth in that. If you're asking how it's changing the skill sets that are necessary to find jobs future forward, we could talk about that. So we'll go any direction you want, Ty.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's probably more of the second trajectory where you said now you're seeing an influx of people where almost like having a digital side hustle is now becoming almost like a necessity. Like,
Yep.
so you get a job, but then you're also having this side hustle where I remember you're talking about this kid that sells Fortnite maps, making almost like 120,000 a year at I think maybe 19. So
Yep.
he's already on, a good starting salary, or even then some for people graduating college.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit more about that, I guess.
Yeah. So let's again start at that forefront, right?
Mhm.
When LinkedIn came to existence in 2003, I the idea was that professional identity of record could replace the resume and CV
Correct.
and allow you to connect to any job in the world,
Mhm.
right? So it opened up a global opportunity of experiences. Where we are right now is a pretty dramatic shift in the economic graph. So artificial intelligence is changing the career pathing in front of us. Um, the gig economy has changed the contract between the employer and employee.
Okay.
Creator economy has proven out to be real.
Yes.
And then if you look out Gen Z trending, they know they have to piece together their career path. And part of that is secondary or side hustles, right? And some of those are going to become primary hustles,
Mhm.
right? And so, like, what's shifted dramatically is it's no longer about finding a job. It's no longer about this professional identity record that helps you get that job. It's about finding professional identity of records that are the job, that are entrepreneurial in their approach. So, like, that example you just gave is a company called Map Academy.
Yeah.
The person who built it built Fortnite maps, is selling them on a platform, WHOP, where I work, into a marketplace. People are buying that because they want that very esoteric, very specific expertise. And it's just a showcase of how instead of working a summer job, and I live right down by a beach,
Yeah.
right, as a lifeguard, right? He's in his room on the computer showcasing the Fortnite maps that he's building and making appreciable revenue, like really good money.
Yeah, really good money.
Another example of those companies, we have one called Pre-Medley, which
Okay.
is three med students who are teaching undergraduate students on how to get into med school. And so
You
they've
told me
done
about that
this,
one. Yeah.
yeah. So they've done a series of courses, they've done a series of videos, they do one-on-one meetings to help people learn how to get into med school. Right? They're going to make $100,000 this year doing that, right? And so like there's all of a sudden this opportunity to create your expertise and develop a business out of it. And you become the epicenter of that professional identity of record, right? You are the business. And that's a seismic shift. And AI is the driver primarily for that because it's going to disrupt what the job search looks like coming up. Like the jobs of today are not going to be there 5 years from now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, if I had the option, let's say make 120,000 or work at a lifeguard, you know what I mean? Like the answer is like definitely going to be definitely 120,000. What is, let's say, I guess the turnover rate, when something that you mentioned that also really stuck out to me is that a lot of these digital side hustles, right? Because again, it seems like we're on this whole new enterprise of this whole AI boom, right? They're so lucrative sometimes.
Yep.
Why not make that your full-time hustle? Why even, let's say, okay, I'm still gonna say go to college, go to school, where you have a full safe self-sustaining business on a platform like WAP that's generating you tons and tons of money. Why acquire, I guess, or go a traditional route like college or med school when again you're making good money already based off your expertise through the usage of AI?
I think the interesting thing is that there's still a need for traditional education, right? The critical thinking skills are not going away,
Okay.
and you're going to need them for prompts to work with AI to think deeply about how you utilize AI in whatever you're doing. Creativity is also super important. So, like, this is where things get fascinating. A
Tell me.
liberal arts degree is probably going to be more lucrative than a computer science degree. Yeah, and I think we're already trending in that direction because you'll have access to the knowledge that a computer science scientist gleans at those early stages, right? So if you're an early stage engineer,
Yeah.
AI is not quite yet comparable to you, but it's trending in that direction, right? And so, again, like the creativity utilized with AI is where the impact and opportunity is going to lie. And one of the broadest things that I think is interesting about AI at all, which is where higher education can lean into,
Hmm.
is the greatest opportunity through AI is not AI itself right now, it's the education of AI, because the vast majority of people don't know how to utilize it right now. So, like, if you were to
Gotcha.
put numbers to everything, there are
Hmm.
what, 2,500 people who are building the models that we're
Correct.
all utilizing right now. Maybe a little bit higher, but it's not a huge amount
Oh
higher,
yeah. So like it's
right?
definitely a small
So
demographic. Yeah.
small amount, right? 100,000, 200,000 companies globally that are skinning AI in any appreciable way, right?
Hmm.
There are probably 4 to 5 million people who understand LinkedIn AI in a way that they can represent it back to you to make sense. There are 8 billion people on the planet. So there are
True.
so many different categories where people are going to have to learn about AI. Think about small, mid-sized businesses. Think about your parents. Think about the neighborhood you're from, the people in that neighborhood. All have to figure out how to utilize AI, and the education and practitioners who support that are going to do well. And I think higher education could be supportive of that. And by the way, I love higher ed. I think the pre-professional, pre-social component of it is impactful, but I don't think it is turned fully and quickly enough to where things are trending.
When would that, let's say, that turn fully to where things are trending? So people, let's say, are on the right path to, get ahead and maybe make a business on teaching a lot of people these teaching models. What would need to take place, or where do you see that trajectory going?
Yeah, so I think universities should have a horizontal where AI is taught through every major, and it should be almost like career services at this point. And like you come into an institution, there's a baseline expectation of knowledge with AI. Universities haven't leaned into that as heavily as they should.
Do you see that
Um,
happening sometime soon, or not really?
I see some universities realizing that they need to do it, and I think like they'll continue to lean into it. I will say, like, traditionally, U.S. universities specifically have leaned into the infrastructure race, so I build big buildings. I think
Okay.
that game is over. Like, I think that that is going to shift dramatically, and I think that educational component where AI can help me launch who I am. I think you're going to start to see creator colleges. You're going to start to see creator centers on campuses where, like, you already have entrepreneurship centers, and people 15 years ago would have said that would never exist on a campus, right? Creator centers are going to exist on campus. I think like they're going to lean into things like AI to help people define and develop who they are from a professional standpoint. But some of the historic things in colleges that haven't shifted dramatically, like career services,
Hmm.
are going to have to change to adapt to where AI is, because it's no longer about going to a Fortune 500 company, having them come with a career fair onto campus and training people on how to find jobs. It's about enabling those individual students to buttress themselves against the changes that are happening in career paths in front of them. AI, developing your own company. And by the way, like, I think AI is not the only horizontal. I think teaching entrepreneurial skills across everybody on a campus is also important, because everybody's going to have to be an entrepreneur in the future.
Well, yeah, definitely. If AI is going the route that it looks like to be going, definitely that entrepreneur thing with AI integration, the next, brightest minds of tomorrow. So I guess maybe going a little more of a darker tone. So you mentioned that this is the model that a lot of schools should be adopting, right?
Yep.
So let's say, what could be some of the adverse effects if some of these older institutions, like, no, like our model is still good, we don't want to change?
Yeah. So, like, I've always had concerns about it, about US universities from this perspective. There are really four major revenue streams that universities pull in.
Okay. What are
Number
they?
one, tuition, the primary one, right? Advancement, so it's endowments, so like fundraising.
Yeah.
Uh, R&D. So this is faculty research that's used for tech transfer spun out of the institution.
A little bit of technical difficulty, guys. Hope you guys are enjoying the episode so far. Stay tuned.
Live with Ty starts now.
What an interesting conversation so far. I mean, my goodness, this is actually brilliant.
I'm here, bud. Sorry about
Okay.
that. My
Hey, no,
phone.
all good, man.
So,
Yeah. No, keep going. I kept recording, so we're all good. We're all good.
so
Good
let's
laugh.
start, like, go back to those four, and like I
Yeah,
paused for a second, so like I want to revisit that. But like, like go through the traditional ways that U.S. universities
make
generate
money.
revenue. So you have tuition, right,
Yeah,
which we all understand. You have advancement, so fundraising, and so this speaks to endowments that everybody will point to from institutions, say like Harvard or whatever, right? You have R&D, so this is transfer of research that's happening on campus to commercial space.
correct.
And then you have the professional experiences. So these are your law school, your medical school, dental
Dental.
school, veterinary medicine,
Yeah.
continuing education, executive education, right?
Hmm.
And so, like the top 200 to 400 universities have elements of all of those, and maybe not as rich on the endowment side, but do relatively well on tuition, maybe not really a research institution, like have some of those professional experiences on the side, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
But the vast majority of universities in the US do not have all four of those en masse. And so then if you start to break down the impact that's happening in each one of those categories, right? International students are a bucket filler for universities from a tuition standpoint. So they pay a
Yeah.
little bit more than, say, US students. If you start to remove international students from the experience, it means that the US students have to pay more, or you have to attract more students at all, both of which impact the institution, right?
Correct.
If you think about endowments, like one of the misnomers with endowments is you just take that money and utilize it for anything. That's
Hmm.
not the case, right? It's usually earmarked for specific things from an institutional perspective. If you don't have those endowments, you don't even have that, right, as a tool in your arsenal.
And
And
revenue.
so
Yeah.
if you think about smaller universities, what I call regional universities, I call them directional schools. So if you think of like Central Michigan in Mount
Yeah.
Pleasant, if you think about Northern Iowa,
Hmm.
right? These are schools that like they may not have the ability to generate large scale endowments to support themselves. They may not have a ton of research and development that they can do. They might not have all the professional schools to generate revenue. And so like the thing that they can lean on are tuition for
Yeah.
students. And now you have less international students to fill that bucket for extending that amount of money. So the institutions get impacted by all of those. That's happening real time right
Yeah.
now. Then you layer in a seismic change like artificial
With AI.
intelligence and
Oh.
saying, hey, by the way, this can do the educational pathing that you currently have on campus now. And
Yeah.
so, like, one of your moats has eroded, right? And you're focused on like generating revenue in those other categories. I think the top 200 to 400 universities will be similar to what they are now,
Okay.
changing on how they approach education in the
Yeah.
next 10 years. I think all the other universities who fall out of that purview are going to struggle. I will say the caveat that I have on that are the like the little Ivies or the elite level liberal arts programs. I think they're going to find another breath in artificial intelligence because of the thought process that it goes into utilizing it as a tool.
Definitely. Wow. So I definitely want to pivot a little bit here in the sense that so you're really big time, let's say at WHOP, right? So WHOP is something that it seems like a little bit of a game changer, but something that I've been curious about. What makes it, I guess, WHOP specifically maybe curated to more of these content creators or people that want to thrive on a digital perspective, like or I mean not a digital perspective, but a digital space. How is WHOP, revolutionizing the game in that way?
So again, let's speak to those things that are converging right now: AI,
Yeah.
gig economy, creator economy, and then the way that like U.S. students are approaching side hustles. Like
Yeah.
15% of U.S. students have a digital side hustle right now. Like that was unheard of a decade ago.
Wait, did you say
Uh,
14 or 40 or
15% in the
15%?
US,
Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
have a digital side hustle, and that's like 18.5 million students. So like that number is
A lot.
sizable.
Hmm.
But if you think about the existing way that, say, like creators made money,
Correct.
they create large scale communities on something like Instagram or through Discord, and then sell programs or connections into other things off platform. So like not attached to that exact
Yeah.
platform. Where WHOP is effective here is you can use APIs to attach all your community into one space. And then you have an end-to-end platform. So a marketplace on one side, which will fill the bucket even more outside of your like social following, customer service, you have payment solutions on the back end, and we're a series of no-code tools that allow you to build a business. So there's a course app, there's a chat app, community app, there's a live stream app, there's a podcast app, like anything you want, you can add. And then recently we created an app store where developers are now creating apps for anybody to make money from their mindset, right? And so that's additive to what we can think of and do on our platform.
And
So
that's
it's
all
almost this,
internal within
this is
the WAP.
all within WAP, right?
Wow.
So like all this stuff is converging at once. And what we're finding is we're pretty good as a marketplace, like almost like a mall where you can walk store to store to these digital WAPs. We've done a little over 1.2 billion in GMV on the platform to date, which is product and service sold. We did that 3.5 years quicker than Shopify.
Wow.
We have 9 million users, and in that time frame, we did that a year quicker than LinkedIn, right? Which was the professional identity of record then, met the economic graph then. I
Correct.
believe we're meeting the economic graph now. We're the professional identity of record. That is the job, right? You can create multiple WAPs. You can join other WAPs. There's a social component to it, and I think what is like we're just on the cusp of like what this can be. Like we're helping 30,000 people a month generate revenue.
Yeah, you
We
guys
could
are.
help 1 million people. And to put this in context from the venture side,
Please
I
do.
spent 10 years at the largest investor in seed stage tech companies in the world at Techstars. 10
Mhm.
years. We invested in 4,000 companies. 10 years, right?
Wow.
We're helping a little over 1,000 people every day start a business, every single day,
So yeah.
right? And so
Mhm.
like you think about the game changer on a platform like what we are. It was the reason I came. It like opened up the door because it removed two of the biggest barriers of entry in building a business. Access to capital, we're free. We make money when you make money on the platform, and access to tech talent. Like we utilize no code as part of the process, and at some point implement AI in the build of businesses as well. So like I think we're in the forefront of where things are. I've been relatively good at jumping in things early.
Yeah,
So it was
perfect timing.
relatively early LinkedIn, relatively early Techstars, and like it
Mhm.
feels like I'm that again at WAP. And like the fascinating thing for me is the vast majority of people I work with are in their 20s. I'm 20 years older than they are. I'm the oldest
Mhm.
person in our company by like 20
Don't
years.
say that.
And but I'm fine with that because like you have to continually be educating and learning, right? There's no better way to do that than to throw yourself in experiences that make you uncomfortable. Like you get comfortable in the uncomfortable, and that becomes a
Yeah.
skill set, right? AI is the
Super,
same
super
thing.
powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to get comfortable in what is uncomfortable.
So let's say a digital creator, right? I
Yep.
have this large following or something like that. Let's say I'm not selling anything, right? I'm not selling anything. You are more on the entertainment side of things, right? But
Sure.
let's say you do podcasts, you do shows. Why would a service like WAP be beneficial to me? Or is it?
Yeah, I mean, one, like again, utilize each one of the platforms. Like Discord, you don't get the email addresses on the back end. Our platform provides that. So, like, if you register on WAP and join a WAP, that WAP now has that business now has the ability to access your email address, so they can send newsletters. Right? Can't do that through Instagram. You can't do
No,
that
you can't.
through Discord. So you have access to that relational capital, which is yours because it was driven into your business, right? If you look at our cap table, like the people who invested in WAP, it's kind of a who's who. So, start with Peter Thiel early into Facebook, right?
Mhm.
But then go across the board, like one of the founders of YouTube, one of the founders of Discord, one of the founders of Twitch. On the celebrity side, right, where these communities start to converge, Kevin O'Leary, Chainsmokers, James Harden. We did a Series B. The group that was the primary on that was Bain, which is a pretty big deal as well, and a validation point. The reason I bring that up is you bring all those people together. They understand capital flow. They understand the entertainment side of building digital businesses in the creator space. They understand video, they understand live streaming, they understand community at a high level, right? And those all intersect into the platform that we have at WHOP.
So something that you mentioned is like something that you guys are definitely capitalizing on is almost like this creator economy, right?
Mhm.
That's not the cornerstone of your business. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's just one facet of a larger business that
Yep.
that WAP is, correct?
Yeah. So certainly heavy on creators right now, and the
It's
creators are bringing
massive,
their
yeah.
communities into our platform. They are fantastic. But the vast majority of people in the world are not creators,
Yes.
right? So if you want to like take a run at some of the major social media companies, you have to be able to go to everybody else. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like you have to be able to like your parents need to be able to utilize WAP. Your neighbors need to be able to utilize WAP, right? People in your community need to be able to utilize WAP. Everybody has to understand like how to utilize it. And that's the market opportunity for us, right? Could a billion people be on our platform at some point? And that's aspirational, right? I'm not saying that that's where we're going to hit, but I could certainly see a pathway where you can start to trend in that direction if you become the professional identity of record that is the job, right? And you tie that into where the economic graph is. Like a lot of really good things are converging all at once. And again, like the average person can build a company on our platform right now. You
Yeah.
don't have to have a superstar creator platform, right? Or following. Like you literally can launch a company on our platform right now. And taking that venture backed view, the hardest thing to do in the entrepreneurial space is to go from 0 to 1, go from idea to implementation. And like WAP makes that incredibly easy, incredibly easy.
So would you say for businesses at any stage, WAP is something that you should be implementing? Because another thing that I also wanted to talk about is where I went yesterday when I was kind of researching you, I like to call whenever I have interviews with my guests, my stalking, right? Something that I think is really, really cool that seems that WAP is at the cornerstone of is revolutionizing almost how things are marketed, right?
Yep.
So let's say you want to promote a product. Usually you would go, let's say, to an ad agency, get out a bunch of Facebook ads. But you guys, let's say, have a content rewards program through some things like clipping. And if you actually think about it, those same funds that you're going to allocate to that ad company, you could just put it on your platform in WAP and almost let people work to kind of earn their piece of the pie. Can you talk about a little bit more of that? Because when I was thinking about it, I was like, oh my goodness, it might change marketing forever because you
Yep.
can't really compete with that model. And correct me if I'm wrong.
So you're a student, right? And you met me through the university work that I'm doing,
Correct.
connecting into universities and trying to get universities on our platform. So, like the idea of what I'm doing is to support entrepreneurship centers, right? We're an easy 0 to 1, right? And build a business, and we can be another arrow in that quiver. But there are institutional opportunities off WAP, and so like I can see in career services we could be an internship or experiential opportunity. We could be a co-op, right? And you build a business and actually generating revenue becomes part of that experience that the university codifies and says, all right, like this is a co-op, right? For alumni engagement, alumni associations could train people to be the job, to build companies on WAP.
Yeah.
And if they did that, they could pay back into the institution on money that they generate. So the institution can make money off of that. Or research right now that's coming off campus could be socialized on our platform and then commercialized, right? You get to see the people who are interested in that.
Mhm.
The reason I bring this all up is like there are so many applications at institutions. It's like fascinating, right? But the clipping piece that you're talking about, the content rewards, imagine a university like Boston University where you're at.
Shout out to
Imagine
you.
if, yeah, imagine if they were to allocate $40,000 for students to get paid to share through their social their experience at Boston University, right? As part of like an admissions play,
Mhm.
right? They're already spending that money to try to drive people on top of funnel to matriculate into the institution, but you could take your best advocates, your students, and pay them to support you through their peer network, through their social channels. Like that's the game changer, right? And traditional marketing doesn't have that lever to pull.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my goodness. I mean, just, even hearing you talk about it, it's mind blowing. But that sometimes comes, let's say, because I was talking about it with some people. let's say you want to promote a product, right? Or you want to promote something, right? Is partnering with WHOP and doing, let's say, that clipping or the content rewards program, is that the best option, or is there always going to be that adverse risk where you might put up all this capital into this campaign, but what if it doesn't get you the marketing that you might need?
I mean, so like results always happen on the back end,
Hmm.
but I know the best people to leverage to represent you to other people are the people who buy your product and service. So if I'm a fan of, say, like Ken Carson, who did content rewards on our platform,
Yes.
and then I, use like Ken Carson pays me to do what I'm already going to do, which is share through social how awesome Ken Carson is in this new release of whatever album he has, right? And I'm pulling in a peer network who are like me, right? You're targeting the exact people that you need to engage with to connect
Exactly.
into
Yeah.
it. So again, like the results are on the back end. Did more people buy? Was it, what was this CPM for something like
Hmm.
that? Right. But like the brands that are associated with that will figure that out. I I just know we're an incredible lever to pull on that right now. And it's
Yeah,
super
you guys
unique.
are. Because again, when you say something like that, I was on TikTok yesterday, right? And there was a bunch of these clips of like the BTS group of these fangirls that are doing a bunch of clipping. But let's say they have an album coming out, you might as well put money into something that is people are already going to do anyway. So you probably get more quantity of that. So would that say, let's say for a clipping perspective, or just the whole marketing thing of WAP, would it make sense where you already, let's say, have a base following, so people are already going to do that? If you're looking to be discovered, would swap still be the best option to market yourself?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that if people's social accounts aligned with whatever you're trying to launch, like you have the ability to say, here are the requirements to post what I want to post, you to post from a social perspective. You don't meet those requirements. You don't have this type of following. You don't talk about this kind of information. You don't have this kind of context. You're not the right person for me. So like, it's kind of so this goes back to like WAP et al. What I
Yeah.
love about it is it's a choose your own adventure on how you want to generate revenue, right? How you want to make money. And again, I think like at its base, what excites me is the ability to turn everybody into an entrepreneur. And I think those entrepreneurial skill sets colliding with critical thinking, colliding with creativity are paramount for like the job search, like the job approach, like you being the job, which is coming down the pike very quickly.
Hmm. When it comes to, let's say, and thank you so much for sharing that, by the way, I want to make sure you know that. Again, the knowledge that you're spewing is just, I mean, it makes sense, with your title and everything, your position at the company, so good on you. When it comes to, let's say, since I will be honest, sometimes WAP as a platform, it can come across just as a little bit complex, right?
Yep.
So when I first heard about WAP, right, I was watching this content creator where it seemed like, man, you can make a killer amount of money through clipping, right? So it almost like I was getting sold on the get rich quick scheme where you see like a clip of somebody, man, $18,000 in one day. Man, you guys should do this program too, right? So of course, there's always going to be the question of, are some of the things of this whole get rich quick scheme like scamming, where certain, let's say, people, they might put out certain reward programs, but they might not be accepting all the videos and stuff like that. Like, how do you care to comment on any of those issues, if there
Yeah.
are any at all?
Yeah, I mean, we have trust and safety that we lean into heavily. Like the great thing about being a creator platform is you get instantaneous feedback on bad actors, what's not working, and then it's up to us to react
Okay.
and impact that as quickly as possible. Um, they again, I go back to democratizing entrepreneurship, which at its base is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Allow anybody access to build to generate revenue via the internet. And like starts with taking technology a little bit out of the equation, right? So like that no code tooling affords you opportunity on one side. It has to do with developing a marketplace that people can actually, you know, utilize and then identify companies that they want to spend money with. It has to do with our platform being as easily usable as possible to as many people as possible. And like the what I can relate is my experiences. If
Hmm.
I took I took you through a tutorial on LinkedIn. You're in a
Yeah.
program that I did that,
Awesome
right?
tutorial.
Yeah, but LinkedIn's UI UX is notoriously difficult to navigate. If
Yes.
you don't understand it,
It's
right,
tough.
you don't juice the most value out of it. They still have a billion people on the platform, right?
Correct.
With a UI UX that is still a struggle. It's up to us to optimize our UI UX, like to make it as easy as users to both build a company and navigate it to buy from those companies or connect into whatever communities they want or whatever experience they want on WAP. And like that's always a challenge. And the people who kind of lean into the KISS formula, keep it simple, always do well downstream if they're already attracting people. The easier you make your product and service to utilize, the more likely you are to be able to generate a sale if somebody leans into the unique selling proposition, if they believe in what you're doing. And I think like WAP has that ability to get there, and it's top of mind. Like we talk about UI UX internally as an organization. Um, are we perfect right now? No, but like that validation mark of selling over $1 billion in GMV, that just doesn't
No,
happen.
yeah.
I've worked one
Money
on one with
talks.
4,000 early seed stage tech companies. They have a ton of pattern matching. I've never seen that type of growth before, and couple that with the people who are joining. And again, like I don't want to. I want to give creators their flowers. We wouldn't be where we're at without our creators, right? They're incredible, but they're paving the way for everybody to utilize our platform. They're helping us figure out how to be better as a platform, and they're bringing community into it. And so, like, they're generating some of the awareness that will then help those businesses that are developed by your, relatives or neighbors or people in your community, right? And like that ideally is where we would love to get. And I go broader than this. Like this goes back to like where I see long-term impact.
Yeah,
Like
tell me.
I can see partnerships with with like governments. And so instead of workforce development training people to find jobs, you can train people to be the jobs. I can see WAP partnering with EDCs, economic development corporations, instead of attracting a company that hires 400 people in a local market, and that money usually flows out to wherever the headquarters are. Train 400 people to build their own businesses, diversify your economy, right? And that money flows in, right? There are shifts that, like, universities are one piece of the equation for the work that I'm doing. That government piece is like super interesting as well. But like I bring this all up because like we're an aspirational level based on how we've implemented the company. Like the company could be so much more because of where it is right now. It is an
Yeah.
incredible space, and it has the ability to open up even more doors. And when you're somebody who works in the tech world and spends in like these, like works out of Boston or New York or San Francisco, you only see this every once in a while. It doesn't happen a lot. And like I just feel fortunate to be part of the ride.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing that you mentioned is that the decentralization of like being a business entrepreneur, we're making that almost like the accessibility like the norm for a lot of people. And I think something that requires, and it might be hard for people, is like almost like a restructuring of how you've been raised and thought to think,
100%,
and
100%.
I think that's one of the harder things that even hearing you talk about it, it's like, okay, you go to you go to college and you work for somebody else. But what you're saying with this model, like, no, empower yourself and you're going to work for yourself, and you might not need to work for anybody else. And even now I want to scratch my head, but then when I listen to you explain it in such a way that's so simple, but it seems almost like unfathomable, but yet you guys have the money to back it up. So that brings me to my next question, is like something that you also mentioned is that another company that might be or may not be a future competitor to you guys in LinkedIn, right? And it is very, very true that unless if you don't know the ins and out of LinkedIn, you're not getting the most out of that platform. Where do you guys see yourself, let's say, on par with them? Or do you see them as competition? Or do you learn for them? Or are you just, what's
Yeah,
that
that's how,
relationship like?
the interesting thing for me about the competition conversations is we just need to be the best version of ourselves and not worry about anybody else, right? Our numbers are already speaking for themselves, and our traction is incredible. I work with some of the best and brightest minds in their 20s in technology right now. And, like we just need to keep rolling out the way that we are and not worry about anybody else. Now, again, I go back to, I think we are perfectly situated for the opportunity now to meet where the economic graph is, that convergence of AI, gig
Yeah.
economy, having to be more entrepreneurial. And I want to like speak to one thing that we kind of touched on, but
Okay.
like there's a reason that most people aren't entrepreneurs. It's because, like it's jumping off a cliff.
Yeah.
It's the path, it's Robert Frost. It's the path not chosen, right? And
Remember that.
and I, like I think one of the beautiful things that WAP is like. So if you think about Reid Hoffman, I'll give him credit. LinkedIn has a quote that I think is the best quote about entrepreneurship. It's like jumping off the cliff and trying to build a plane before it hits the ground.
Yeah.
Um, a company like WAP is bringing the ground up and extending the runway. So it's opening up the door for more people to jump off cliffs. And that is special. And I think
Yeah.
like that is the unique inflection point that we have right now. And it's the same view I had for LinkedIn when I started giving presentations about it in 2005, like way early days, 2006, whenever, like right in that early space. It is the exact same thing that I feel now with WAP that I felt with LinkedIn then. And like it's up to us to continue to make it easier to use, to bring more people into the space, to diversify the companies that are on our platform. But I'm super bullish that that will happen.
Where would you, let's say, long game, let's say 5 to 10 years from a user perspective, where would you hope they are? And also, let's say, from a business perspective, if perfect world scenario, talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think WAP becomes ubiquitous with um, your the buying, selling, paying, um, commercial, real retail community experience. Like it hits a little bit of everything, and it becomes universal. Like the beautiful thing is we're mobile first,
Yeah.
right? So you can build a company on your
Cell
phone.
phone
People are already conditioned to pay for things
on
through
their
their
phone.
phone, right? And so, like that just becomes a more ubiquitous experience. Like I would love for WAP to become ubiquitous like Kleenex is to tissue, right? We are with entrepreneurship. Like we are just WAP is entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
Creators are entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs are creators. Both experience WAP. WAP is entrepreneurship, right? Like that kind of stuff has the ability to happen, like where WAP becomes a verb and a noun and experiential or whatever, right? And like those are those type of things that it's hard for most people to view what could happen globally off a platform like this. I'm fortunate, like I built a global network of entrepreneurs through Techstars. I was charged with cross-connecting 43,000 founders, mentors, investors,
Yeah.
corporate partners, community leaders globally, right? I built with a team at LinkedIn a university experience, utilized at 25,000 universities globally at that time. And when you build things globally, you start to believe that you can do it again and again and again. And I've got the belief on where we're going on this.
I think you guys are definitely going to do it. Last question that I want to ask you. So from a content creator perspective, right? Do you see, I guess, WAP being the sole option for the future going forward for them, and that economy continuing to really leverage off the platforms that you're able to build in the creator space?
Yeah. So the funny thing is, I think those are what you just said is somewhat opposite. Like
Okay.
creators are already always utilizing and engaging with new experiences.
Hmm. I
And
see what you mean.
so they're always creating,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, do I think we capture all of the energy there? Like, I think that's super difficult to do.
Hmm.
because I think people will find new outlets or different approaches, and like AI is not even visioning the things that are going to be happening 5 years from now. Um, but do I think that the creators can give us the ability to allow anyone to come on our platform to build out experiences similar to what they've done? Yeah, like I think that that could happen. And so like I think that they develop more inclusiveness for this space based on working with us, which is super cool.
That's brilliant. So, John, one thing that I do on my platform before I end every single any episode, are there any questions that maybe I forgot to ask that you'd want to speak on? It
Mm,
could be about WAP, it could be about, creator economy, marketing, anything that we took, or the weather. Up to you.
yeah, no, no, no. I generally have three things that I say in every talk that I give
Okay.
when I'm on stage. One's build a network before you need it, so it's there when you do. One's build a quality relational network, not a quantity relational network. But the last one I think is like most pertinent to what we're talking about here. Entrepreneurship is gated right now. It's like super difficult to navigate based on people's fears or imposter syndrome or like structural things like capital or access to tech talent. Um, but I would love for more people, like anybody listening to this, if they've hesitated to become an entrepreneur, lean into it a little bit. Like entrepreneurs are special in what they do. They suspend disbelief and do something that nobody else in the world has done or do it better. And that's a gift, but it's a gift that all people can open. And, like I hope we are enablers in more people leaning into that and really tapping into their creative concepts and ideas, what makes them them, and positioning that as a product or service to sell to other people, right? And that entrepreneurship becomes life changing in the process, and changes how they view their professional pathing. So like continue to dream big, and like that's the last thing that I would leave everybody here with. I'm super easy to find on social, on Instagram, on X. John at WOP. I'm John Hill at WOP
One and
on
only.
LinkedIn. You
Come
can
on.
find me. Yeah, you can find me. Easy, easy, easy. And like search me out. Like if you have questions, let's talk. I'm happy to engage with people. If anybody from universities listens to this, get your university working with your students on our platform to learn how to build businesses, faster, quicker than the venture back process, and like remove that 0 to 1 as a barrier of building companies.
Well, John, thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope you enjoyed it. And I want to personally say thank you. Thank you for being part of a program that enables and empowers people to dream and dream big and expansive and bring their communities with them. I think that's so special. I think WAP is going to take it to the top. And for anybody listening, if you're not on this app already, I don't know what you're doing. I'm going to leave it at that. John, thank you so much for taking the time. And I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did.
You're awesome, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate
All
it.
right. You take care, man. Take
See you,
care.
man.
There you guys have it. The first episode of Live with Ty recorded from a digital perspective. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Also comment down below who you want to see next. Again, you heard it from the man himself. We are in the digital landscape. What does that mean? Anything is possible. Comment who you want to see. Comment who you want to see me interview, what conversations, what topics. Again, as you heard it from John, the man himself, we're in a position but we're so blessed to dream. Let's keep dreaming and let's keep doing it together. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know who you want to see on this platform next. Once again, I'm your host, Tyler Johnson. This was Live with Ty.